this up. This is not the moment for us to stand down. Not only did I feel like I knew enough at that moment, I was sitting in the Situation Room saying, this is something that is going to march across Western Europe. It's something that's going to march over to our shores, and we need to be ready.
We could have stopped Russian trolls. That's what a former Obama State Department official is saying, admitting he warned the National Security Council back in 2014 that America would be targeted by Russian hackers. He was right, but he was ignored. Let's take it up with the Daily Signal's Kelsey Harkness. Kelsey, if a Russian threat was a national security issue back in 2014, why are we just now dealing with it?
Hi, John. Well, thank you for having me. Isn't it interesting to hear Hillary Clinton continue this now international tour, blaming President Trump and blaming these Russian bots for the reason that she lost the election? And now we come to find out the administration that she worked for as Secretary of State was actually warned about this and chose to do nothing. This really reflects their stand-down policy the administration had when it came to Russia. We saw this time and time again when Russia invaded Crimea, when it slaughtered innocent people in the Ukraine. The Obama administration stood by and did nothing, and now we actually see the Trump administration putting their foot down, and you don't see anything positively reflected about that in the media.
Whether they swayed the election or not, that's obviously up for debate. They certainly meddled in the election. But is putting sanctions on Yevgeny Prigozhin, is that enough to actually stop Russia going forward? We're all talking about collusion, who benefited from this, but it seems like we're not doing much to stop it from happening again, which it certainly will. Are we doing enough?
You have to look at what the Trump administration is doing in full when it comes to all the actions they've taken against Russia. We saw just today the United States expelled 60 diplomats from the United States. I think the Trump administration has been very tough on Russia, and it's important to give them credit for this because they are really changing course from what we saw from the Obama administration and even the Bush administration before them.
Yeah, well, time will certainly tell. The critics, but moving forward, critics blasting the hysteria surrounding Stormy Daniels' interview on her alleged affair with President Trump, saying some of this coverage is unnecessary. Listen.
President Trump might have met his match with Stormy Daniels.
Are Trump's alleged affairs a threat to his presidency?
We're talking, I think, understandably and appropriately about the most serious legal allegations that Stormy Daniels made.
Clearly, this is something that has gotten to the president.
The reason he can't engage with Stormy Daniels is because she's got his number.
It's actually an extraordinary cultural moment that a porn star is more credible than the President of the United States.
CNN replaying the headline-grabbing 60 Minutes interview again last night. Look, Kelsey, I understand this. It's more fun to talk about salacious stuff than it is an unsustainable debt. We have no immigration policy. We have no policies hardly coming out of anything with this gridlock Congress. But does this really not show how screwed up the country is when this is the focus?
Yes, a lot of media outlets are playing wall-to-wall coverage about this Stormy Daniels story, and I think it's interesting that at the same time that's happening, we had a poll come out from CNN of all places showing that Trump's approval ratings are actually at an 11-month high. And I think that shows that despite the hysteria happening in the media, the scandals that are unfolding, Americans, what they really care about are outcomes. The outcomes that they're seeing reflected in their paychecks from tax reform, the outcomes they're seeing in the stock market. So I think a lot of this story is being overblown.
Why is no one talking about this spending bill that basically leveraged the entire country's future so these politicians could get reelected?
You would think the media would want to be covering the spending bill because it's actually showing an interesting fight between Republicans and some conservatives who think that we are spending way too much money and this is going to really hurt our children and our children's children. I think this is an important policy debate to be had, and we should be covering it more in the media. But instead, they're going with the more scandalous and I would say easier story that is Stormy Daniels, probably for TV ratings and money.
It's certainly a more fun story for the media to cover than a spending bill that's going to say that this is the easiest to see financial crisis coming in history. Kelsey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My next guest, sinking ratings from politically charged award shows and lackluster ticket sales, says they may